You know that moment when your entire life changes in a single sentence? When someone reveals who they really are, and suddenly the path you thought you were walking on completely disappears, only to be replaced by something you never expected? I'm about to tell you exactly how one dinner, one cruel boss, and two incredible children showed me what love really means. And trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why I'm so grateful that everything fell apart that night. My name is Elena, and 6 months ago, I was a 31-year-old marketing executive who thought she had everything figured out. I had a corner office, a designer wardrobe, and a 5-year plan that included exactly 0 surprises. Love wasn't even on my radar. My last relationship had ended 2 years prior when my ex told me I was too focused on work to ever be a real partner. Those words stung, but instead of examining them, I buried myself deeper into my career. My boss, Victoria Chen, was the kind of woman who commanded attention when she entered a room. She was brilliant, ruthless, and had built her marketing agency from nothing. I admired her. I wanted to be her. She had taken me under her wing when I joined the company 5 years ago, and I had risen through the ranks faster than anyone in company history. What I didn't realize was that Victoria's mentorship came with invisible strings attached, strings that would eventually try to strangle something beautiful before it even had a chance to breathe. It started on a rainy Tuesday in October. I was working late, as usual, reviewing campaign analytics when my phone buzzed with a notification from a dating app my sister had forced me to download. "Just try it," she had said. "You can't marry your laptop, Elena." I had rolled my eyes but created a profile anyway, mostly to get her off my back. The notification was a message from someone named Marcus. His profile picture showed a man with warm brown eyes and a genuine smile, standing in front of a bookshelf. No shirtless gym photos, no pictures with fish he'd caught. Just a simple, authentic image that made something in my chest flutter unexpectedly. "I noticed you listed obscure documentaries about random historical events as one of your interests," his message read. "Please tell me you've seen the one about the Great Molasses Flood of 1919. If not, I'm afraid we can't continue this conversation. I have standards." I laughed out loud in my empty office. An actual laugh, not the polite chuckle I'd perfected for client meetings. Something about his humor felt refreshing, different from the usual generic opening lines I received. Before I could overthink it, I typed back, "Are you telling me that 2.3 million gallons of molasses flooding Boston at 35 miles per hour isn't common first message material? I'm shocked and delighted." That began a 3-week conversation that I looked forward to more than anything else in my carefully structured life. Marcus was a pediatric physical therapist who worked with children recovering from injuries and surgeries. He told me about his work with such passion and tenderness that I found myself reading his messages multiple times, savoring the way he described helping a 7-year-old take her first steps after a car accident or teaching a teenage athlete to trust his rebuilt knee again. We talked about everything. Our favorite books, our complicated relationships with our families, our secret dreams that we'd never told anyone else. Marcus told me he wanted to write children's books someday, stories that would help kids understand that being different was actually a superpower. I told him about the novel I'd started and abandoned a dozen times, the one about a woman who discovers that success without connection is just a beautiful cage. 3 weeks after that first message, Marcus finally asked me to dinner. "I know this amazing Italian restaurant," he wrote. "Family-owned, the grandmother still makes the pasta by hand. Saturday night?" I said yes immediately, which was unlike me. I usually deliberated over every decision, weighing pros and cons until the moment passed. But something about Marcus made me want to stop calculating and just feel. What I didn't know, what he hadn't told me yet, was that Marcus was a single father. And what neither of us knew was that the universe had orchestrated a collision course that would test everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and what really matters. Saturday arrived with the kind of nervous anticipation I hadn't felt since high school. I changed outfits 4 times before settling on a simple navy dress that my sister said brought out my eyes. I spent extra time on my makeup, then wiped half of it off because I wanted to look like myself, not like I was trying too hard. The restaurant was called Nana's, a small establishment tucked between a bookstore and a florist on a quiet street downtown. When I walked in, I spotted Marcus immediately. He was even more handsome in person, tall with broad shoulders and that same warm smile from his profile picture. He stood as I approached, and when he hugged me, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. "Elena," he said, and the way he pronounced my name made it sound like music. "You're even more beautiful than your photos. And you're exactly as charming as your messages," I replied, feeling my cheeks flush. The first hour was magical. We ordered wine and appetizers and talked as if we'd known each other for years. Marcus told me about growing up in a small town, the only child of a librarian mother and a carpenter father. He described summers spent reading in tree houses his father built and winters helping his mother organize book drives for underprivileged kids. I told him about my own childhood, growing up as the middle child in a family of overachievers. My older brother was a surgeon, my younger sister a published author at 28. I had always felt like I was running a race I couldn't win, which is why I threw myself into work with such intensity. "But here's the thing," Marcus said, leaning forward with genuine interest in his eyes. "You accomplished all of that. Corner office, leading major campaigns, building a career from scratch. Why do you say it like it's not enough?" No one had ever asked me that question. Not my family, not my ex, not my friends. They all assumed I was happy because I was successful. Marcus saw something different, something I had been hiding even from myself. "Because," I heard myself say, "I'm not sure I built the life I actually wanted. I built the life I thought I was supposed to want." Marcus reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Maybe it's not too late to figure out what you actually want." In that moment, looking into his eyes, I felt something shift inside me. Something like hope. And then the universe decided to complicate everything. My phone buzzed. Normally, I would have ignored it, I was on a date, after all, but the screen showed Victoria's name. My boss never called on weekends unless something was seriously wrong. "I'm so sorry," I said to Marcus. "I need to check this." The text message was brief and urgent: "Crisis. Peterson account threatening to pull out. Need you at Marcello's now for emergency dinner meeting. Non-negotiable." Marcello's was one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, the kind of place where powerful people made powerful deals. It was also only 3 blocks from where I currently sat. "I am so sorry," I told Marcus, my heart sinking. "My boss needs me for an emergency meeting. A major client is threatening to leave, and I'm the lead on their account." Marcus's expression was understanding, though I could see the disappointment in his eyes. "Work calls," he said. "I get it. Can we reschedule?" "Absolutely. Next weekend? I'll make it up to you, I promise." He smiled, and something in that smile made me want to stay more than I'd ever wanted anything. But duty called. I gathered my things, apologizing again, and hurried toward Marcello's. I arrived to find Victoria already seated with Harold Peterson, the CEO of a major tech company we'd been courting for months. Victoria looked immaculate in a black designer dress, her silver hair perfectly styled. When she saw me approach, she smiled, but there was something calculating in that smile that I should have noticed but didn't. "Elena, thank goodness," she said smoothly. "Harold was just telling me how impressed he is with your campaign concepts. Have a seat." The next 2 hours were a blur of strategic conversation, carefully crafted pitches, and expensive wine. By the end of the evening, Harold Peterson had not only committed to staying with our agency but had expanded his contract significantly. Victoria was thrilled. I was exhausted and thinking about Marcus, wondering if I'd ruined whatever was beginning between us. As I was gathering my things to leave, Victoria touched my arm. "Elena, stay for a moment. I want to discuss something with you." Harold said his goodbyes, and then it was just the two of us. Victoria ordered another glass of wine and studied me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "You seem different tonight," she said. "Distracted. Where were you when I called?" I hesitated. Victoria and I had always maintained a professional relationship. I rarely discussed my personal life with her. I was having dinner with someone. A date? Victoria's eyebrows rose. How interesting. Tell me about him. I wasn't sure why, but I found myself talking about Marcus. The 3 weeks of messages, the easy conversation, the way he made me laugh. Victoria listened intently, nodding occasionally, her expression unreadable. "He sounds lovely," she said when I finished. "What does he do?" "He's a pediatric physical therapist. He works with children at the rehabilitation center downtown." Victoria's smile flickered, almost imperceptibly. How noble. "And he's never been married? No children?" The question struck me as odd, but I didn't have an answer anyway. "We haven't discussed it in detail." "It's still early." "Of course." Victoria finished her wine and stood. "Well, I won't keep you. Get some rest. You've earned it." I went home that night feeling unsettled, though I couldn't pinpoint why. I texted Marcus an apology and an explanation, and he responded graciously, telling me he understood work emergencies and was already looking forward to our next attempt. We scheduled the following Saturday. This time, I made sure to silence my phone. Our second first date was at a cozy wine bar with exposed brick walls and live jazz. Marcus was waiting for me with a small bouquet of wildflowers. "Nothing fancy," he said, "just something that made me think of you." We talked for hours. The conversation flowed even more naturally than before, and I found myself sharing things I'd never told anyone. My fear that I'd wake up at 50 and realize I'd spent my life chasing achievements instead of experiences. My complicated relationship with my father, who had never quite approved of my choices. My secret love of terrible reality television. Marcus laughed at that last confession. "You? Reality TV? Miss obscure historical documentaries?" "Everyone has guilty pleasures," I said defensively, but I was smiling. "Fair enough. Mine is country music. I know every word to every song from the 90s. "That's not a guilty pleasure, that's a red flag," I teased. "Too late," he said, his eyes twinkling. "You already like me." He was right. I did like him. More than liked him. There was something about Marcus that felt like home, like a place I'd been looking for without knowing I was searching. As the evening progressed, I noticed Marcus checking his phone a few times. He apologized each time, but there was something in his expression, worry, maybe, or distraction. "Is everything okay?" I finally asked. Marcus sighed and set his phone face down on the table. "I need to tell you something. Something I should have mentioned before, but I wasn't sure how to bring it up, and then it just felt awkward, and..." "Marcus," I said gently. "Whatever it is, just tell me." He took a deep breath. "I have 2 kids. Olivia is 8, and Noah is 5. Their mother and I divorced 3 years ago. She lives in Seattle now, and I have full custody." The words hung in the air between us. I could see the fear in his eyes, fear that I would react the way others had, that this information would be a deal-breaker. And for a moment, I didn't know how to react. This was significant. 2 children meant a complicated life, shared responsibilities, a built-in family. It wasn't something I had planned for. But then I looked at Marcus, really looked at him, and saw the love in his eyes when he mentioned his children's names. I saw a man who was brave enough to be honest, even when honesty was scary. "Tell me about them," I said. The relief on his face was visible. He pulled out his phone and showed me pictures. Olivia was a gap-toothed beauty with her father's eyes and curly hair that seemed to have a mind of its own. Noah was all mischief, grinning at the camera with chocolate smeared on his cheeks. Olivia is the reader of the family, Marcus said proudly. She's already finished the entire Harry Potter series twice. She wants to be a book doctor when she grows up, someone who fixes old books. That's actually a real job, I said. Book conservator. Marcus's eyes widened. Wait, really? She's going to lose her mind when I tell her. And Noah? Noah is our wild child. He's obsessed with dinosaurs and genuinely believes he can communicate with dogs. Last week he spent an hour barking at the neighbor's poodle, convinced they were having a meaningful conversation. I laughed, genuinely delighted. These children sounded wonderful, not because they were perfect, but because they were real. Why did you wait to tell me? I asked. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Because I've been on dates before where I mentioned the kids and watched women's interest disappear. They'll smile politely, say all the right things, and then I never hear from them again. I didn't want that to happen with you because... Elena, I really like you. I reached across the table and took his hand. I really like you too. And I want to know everything about your life, including Olivia and Noah. What happened next proved that the universe has a twisted sense of humor. The door to the wine bar opened, and in walked Victoria Chen. She was with a group of well-dressed colleagues, clearly there for some kind of work celebration. I instinctively straightened, feeling that familiar mix of respect and anxiety that my boss always inspired. Victoria spotted me almost immediately. Her eyes traveled from my face to Marcus, to our joined hands, and something flickered across her expression. She excused herself from her group and approached our table. Elena, she said, her voice carrying that particular tone she used when she was displeased. What a coincidence. Victoria. I tried to keep my voice casual. This is Marcus. Marcus, this is my boss, Victoria Chen. Marcus stood and extended his hand. Nice to meet you, Ms. Chen. Elena has told me a lot about you. Victoria shook his hand briefly, her eyes assessing him. Has she? And what do you do, Marcus? I'm a pediatric physical therapist. How lovely. The words were polite, but there was something underneath them, something sharp. Working with children must be rewarding. Do you have any of your own? The question was pointed. I saw Marcus's slight hesitation before he answered. I do. A daughter and a son. Victoria's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. I see. Well, I won't interrupt your evening. Elena, I'll see you Monday. We have that presentation to discuss. She walked away, and I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. She seems intense, Marcus said carefully. She's brilliant, I replied, but the words felt hollow. Something about that interaction had unsettled me deeply. We finished our evening on a positive note. Marcus walked me to my car and kissed me softly under the streetlight. It was the kind of kiss that made the whole world go quiet, the kind that promised more conversations, more laughter, more of whatever was growing between us. I had an amazing time, he said. Me too. I want to see you again. Soon. I smiled. I'd like that. But as I drove home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Victoria's appearance felt less like a coincidence and more like a warning. On Monday, my suspicions were confirmed. I arrived at work to find a meeting request from Victoria on my calendar, scheduled for immediately. When I entered her office, she was standing at the window, looking out over the city. Close the door, she said without turning around. I did. Sit. I sat. Victoria finally turned to face me, and her expression was one I'd never seen before, a mix of disappointment and cold calculation. Elena, I've invested 5 years in your career. I've mentored you, promoted you, shaped you into one of the best marketing executives in this city. I've done this because I saw potential in you, potential for greatness. I appreciate everything you've done, I said, uncertain where this was going. Do you? Victoria sat down across from me. Because right now, I'm watching you make a choice that could derail everything we've built. I don't understand. This man. Marcus. A pediatric physical therapist with 2 children from a previous marriage. Is this really who you see yourself with? I felt my chest tighten. With all due respect, my personal life isn't. Your personal life absolutely is my business when it affects your professional potential. Elena, you're on track to become a partner in this firm. Do you understand what that means? The hours, the commitment, the sacrifice? A partnership requires total dedication. Many partners have families, I pointed out, trying to keep my voice steady. Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in it. Having your own children is one thing. But stepping into an existing family? Becoming an instant mother to someone else's kids? The complications, the custody arrangements, the emotional baggage, do you really think you can handle all of that in a partnership? I sat in stunned silence. I had expected many things from Victoria, but this blatant intrusion into my personal choices wasn't one of them. I'm not asking you to make a decision right now, Victoria continued, her voice softening into something almost sympathetic. I'm asking you to think about what you really want. You've worked so hard to get here, Elena. Don't throw it away for a man you've known for 3 weeks. The conversation ended there, but its impact lingered. I walked back to my desk in a daze, Victoria's words echoing in my mind. Was she right? Was I being naive, thinking I could balance a demanding career with a ready-made family? But then I thought about Marcus. The way he laughed at my jokes. The way he talked about his children with such love. The way he made me feel seen for the first time in years. I thought about Olivia, who wanted to be a book doctor, and Noah, who believed he could talk to dogs. Children I hadn't even met yet, but who were already becoming real to me through their father's stories. And I thought about my own life, the carefully constructed success that felt increasingly empty. The following weeks were a delicate balance. Marcus and I continued seeing each other, our connection deepening with each date. He told me about his divorce, how his ex-wife had decided she wasn't cut out for motherhood, how she